What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? I ran cross country in high school. I would lead stretches, meaning that both the boys and girls teams were circled around me. A buddy came up and de-pantsed me and grabbed too many layers. At least the girls team got the rear end and the guys got the front. I don't think I've ever been truly embarrassed since. Easily the time I was breakdancing in drama class in grade 11 and kicked a girl in the face. No idea if this is also the case in other countries, but here all shopping carts require a 50 cent or €1 coin to be put in for use. As a kid, whenever I would go shopping with my mom, I would return strayed or lost carts and keep the coin. One day I was with my mom in a huge hardware store. I saw a cart in the store, filled with all kinds of stuff. But my kid logic told me, OWH, it's probably from an employee restocking stuff. They wouldn't mind if I were to take it, right? So here I am emptying that cart. Planks, cans, the whole lot. I return the cart, collect the 50 cents and go to the kid corner to watch some TV or something. Here comes an employee joined by a very displeased older lady. She starts screaming at me, borderline crying about how mean I am and anything. Then she walks away. I did not dare to go into that store for years after in fear of her or the employee recognizing me. I was aggressively arrested in front of most of my co-workers and several hundred airline passengers because slack-jawed yokels of the Boone County, Kentucky court system can't spell and confuse my last name with a similar last name. I had the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars on my last day in Vegas on one of my yearly trips. I was fine until I got on the plane. I had to shit so bad and it was going to be diarrhea. However, we were racing a storm, so the flight attendants asked everyone to remain seated so we could leave. I begrudgingly agreed with my insides on fire. 25 minutes after sitting waiting to take off, they announced we'd have to taxi back and go from the opposite direction for a wind shift. It was another 30-minute delay. Then we finally get into the air and fly right into the storm. It was turbulent and would last another 10 minutes. The seatbelt sign was on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went to go shit. I exploded as soon as I got in there. Everyone in the back of the plane could smell it when I opened the door. One guy even called me out on it. Oh well. My fault for eating oysters on a buffet. In 8th grade I had a teacher, Mr. Jean. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds and had a lazy eye. Mr. Jean was known for having bottles and bottles of Febreze in his room. Whenever he would smell a student stinking, he would stand up out of his chair, go from aisle to aisle sniffing kids and spraying a cloud of mist over the kid that thought he smelled foul. I had forgot to wear deodorant one day and I was lucky enough to be reined in the freshness. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds and had a lazy eye. By the way, Detective JJ Bittenbinder wore 3-piece suits. He also wore a pocket watch. 2 years in a row. He wore a cowboy hat. He also had a huge handlebar mustache. None of that matters, but it's important to me that you know that. I was in high school and we had a prize giving ceremony during school assembly. My name gets unexpectedly called out, so I make my way to the front of the hall to collect my prize. I'm almost at the front when I have a sudden crisis of confidence and think that I must have misheard them and there is no way they called my name. So I turn around, walk back to my chair and sit back down. My friends are looking at me and ask me what the hell I'm doing, and tell me to get back up there to collect my prize. So I get back up, walk all the way up to the front and then have another crisis of confidence and think that my friends must have been messing with me. So I turn around and walk back to my chair and sit back down. The hall is silent and the teachers are on stage looking at me like I just landed from another planet. My freshman year of college, on my 19th birthday, there was a fire in my dorm. I was in the shower when the alarm went off. Had to jump out and right then, a male runs in yelling that we need to evacuate immediately. I grabbed the closest towel I could find and barely covered myself up in time for him to look over. I then had to stand outside in nothing but a towel for over 2 hours while the fire was put out and the building was cleared. The fire was caused by some idiot microwaving tinfoil. I couldn't call anyone to come get me because it was the first week of school and I hadn't made any friends who had a car yet. It was mildly frustrating. Farted very loudly on Valentine's Day in 4th grade. I got my period for the first time ever at 10 years old on school camp. No one had ever told me or educated me about it. I was scared and so embarrassed and was using loo roll to try and stop it from leaking everywhere. After a swim I, obviously, had bled all over my swimming shorts. The teacher came up to me and told me that I need to sort myself put because I was making the other girls uncomfortable. I didn't know how to sort myself out. Thankfully 2 days into this nightmare a kind mother noticed what had happened and gave me some pads. But yeah. I was waiting for a friend to arrive at my home. Said friend was having a severe cold. So when the doorbell rang, I ran to open the door and jokingly pulled my shirt up so it would cover my nose and mouth to prevent infection. I pulled a little too high. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how I opened the door to a baffled salesman with my boobs hanging out. He blushed. I blushed. We stared at each other for a second before I closed the door and hid in the darkest corner of my house. I farted really loud at the start of a French presentation. I farted your general direction. I shit myself on my 13th birthday coming home from Red Lobster. Haven't set foot in one since. Not gonna risk it again. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes. And the wonderful pants shitting stories. Sometimes shitty happens. I once had diarrhea in the middle of class in 3rd grade. I was smart enough to wait until everyone left to recess and ask to go to the school nurse before anyone found out, but that memory still haunts me to this day. A classmate during 3rd grade and middle of class too. Except everyone could smell it. We were confused. Once we learned it was my classmate. The teacher asked for one male kid to accompany him to the washroom. And another to the school office to bring a new pair of short and undergarment. Once they left, the teacher asked us to refrain from harassing him if he comes back and shows some concerns. He comes back to class with the dirty set in plastic outside. Everyone was nice to him as the teacher observed our behavior. He still had the same friends. Everyone moved on from it. I was in the 6th grade. They used to line us up after recess and dismiss each class at a time. I go, leaving a couple of girls in the other class giggling at something. So I was feeling confident. I'm walking up the stairs, looking smiling at them when my head hits the middle partition bar thing between the double doors. My head bounds back with a huge thud and the teacher's like, OMG, are you okay? I pick up my ego and went inside. I don't know if it's like this in other countries, but in Norway the buses have 2 groups of 4 seats that face each other in addition to regular bus seats. So I was getting on the bus and because I'm in a rush to find a seat before the bus starts to move, I head to one of the 4-seat groups with an old lady sitting across from me. The bus was very full, so this was the only seat available. But before I got the chance to put my belt on, the bus had started to move but came to a sudden stop. I plunged forward and I accidentally face planted into the poor old woman's sizable bosoms. In 4th grade I wrote that I loved my crush in my notebook a few times, and my "see you next Tuesday" of a teacher saw that and decided to read it to the class for no reason. Just to embarrass me. F-king bitch. I still hate her to this day. She also once shamed my bad art skills by literally taking my artwork and the best artist in the class and saying this is how it should look and this is how it shouldn't. I'm 30 years old and if I saw her today I would punch her square in the face. When I was like 5 I shouted at my sister, "You're an idiot, idiot." 21 years later I've yet to live it down. Edit. Pretty sure this is my top comment now. Tempted to share a screenshot with the family and say it was finally worth something, but then they drag up things I've forgotten. Got my first period during middle school hours and my jeans got ruined with blood. My first period happened my first year of middle school. I went to the bathroom and saw all the blood and I freaked out cause I knew what they were but I didn't really understand it at the time. Yeah, no? I stayed in the bathroom crying cause I thought I was dying. My teacher came to get me thinking I was skipping and I cried to her saying I was bleeding internally. IDK what I said exactly, sorry lol. She sighed and explained it in layman's terms for me and escorted me to the nurses to get a new pair of pants and underwear. My classmates bullied me for it for at least 3 months. The amount of times I've asked for help to people who did not work at the store. Walked into a pole. Hard. With all my school nearby, it was the end of school. I was by myself and felt awkward already and felt the need to say sorry to the pole and then I realized and then proceeded to say wait, you're a pole. As a kid, I was left-handed. So I tried to deride this kid who was right-handed by saying, no one writes with their right hand. You're so weird. Turns out, the whole Moth Earth King class was right-handed. It was so embarrassing. I once said I think Friday the 13th is going to land on a Thursday. I was 8, my brothers were 5. We were at the hands of a frustrated single mom on a long car ride. I had to go bad. I told my mom, after like 3 hours in a car with 3 children fighting in the back, and she yelled, you're going to have to hold it. I am not pulling over. So, I accidentally crapped my pants. My brothers dissolved into furious laughing and my mom take a whiff and screams, did you just tea your pants? To this day my brothers, who remember nothing from their childhood, regularly bring this up at pretty much every family gathering. They're 37 now. I basically relive this every Christmas. Merry Christmas to me. Can't wait for this year. Colon. So your mom did not let you go and got mad because you shat your pants? Said thank you to an ATM. In 6th grade I attempted to do the splits at recess in front of other kids and ended up tearing my pants. Not just a small tear, but the entire center of my pants blew out. I had to walk around the rest of the school day like that, with people in my class teasing me about it every chance they got. When I was in 5th grade I was sitting in class. I had really bad anxiety about asking to go to the bathroom. So long story short I had to pee so bad and it just happened. So I stood up and asked to go while beelining it out of the classroom. I make it there and I'm just standing there looking in the mirror at my shorts and it is bad. Like no mistaking it. So I splashed some water on my pants and shirt. And make it worse, go back to the class and in front of 30 kids and my teacher I say the sink in the bathroom broke and soaked me. One kid, one of my best friends actually, says, you know what that looks like? And the class just roars. The teacher says to take my gym bag and go change. So I change into my other shorts and come back. And see there's a tiny puddle on my chair. Oh. I just sat down. To this day I'm not sure if anyone figured out what really happened but no one ever said anything. I thought I was the only one at work one early morning. There was zero chance any other worker would be there for hours. I was listening to loud music on my headphones. Had to fart. Did it. Loud. Vibrating juicy one. Turned around in my chair to see the overnight cleaning lady standing right behind me. She looked quite ill. Junior year of HS. Taking a math final. Had been eating a steady diet of cheese sticks and protein bars all day so stomach was understandably disturbed. Squeaking farts out all class because this wasn't my first rodeo so I knew which were gonna be silent and which weren't. Or so I thought. 30 minutes in and I make the fatal error. On a hard plastic chair I let loose the loudest wettest fart of my young adult life. It breaks the silence. And every single head turns. I can feel the heat coming off of my face like goddamn jet exhaust. My teacher just stands up and goes alright and like a swarm of bees being dispersed all of the people in the room turn back to their tests. Finished the test and f-king book it. I am the oldest out of all my siblings and cousins. We were at the cottage swimming and sunbathing on the dock, and I was wearing a one-piece bathing suit that I thought looked pretty nice on me. I was about 10 or 11. My aunt, who has no filter, stared at my chest and proclaimed to everyone who was present, "Oh look, Jenny's developing little breast buds." I wanted to die. What a horrible thing to say to someone. Had to poop in a public bathroom. When I was done, one of the pieces of toilet paper that I put on the seat stuck to me and hung out like a tail for the rest of the day. Didn't notice until I got home. Stripped naked and skinny dipped in broad daylight in this pond that's near the busiest roundabout in my suburb. Opening the door at the same time as my manager at work and getting scared. Him responding with, "What, are you scared of a black man?" in front of everyone. Freshman year of high school, my first real GF and I broke up. She dumped me over something pretty trivial. Basically, she didn't like that I was friends with a couple girls that she did not personally like. Now, being super immature and all, I was annoyed and decided I didn't like her as a person anymore. My first class of the day was history. And in this class was my now ex-GF. And my best friend. So I'm texting my best friend back and forth, and my ex answers the teacher's question about something. I text my best friend and go, "I wish somebody would slap that stupid look off ex-GF's face." Here's the kicker. I actually texted that to my ex. Total brain fart. I realized my mistake when she very suddenly turns around in her seat. Fuming mad. Staring daggers at me. Confused. I raised an eyebrow and then it hit me to check my messages and I realized the mistake. I was mortified. I wanted to die of embarrassment because of how rude, childish, and stupid it was. I later apologized that day. And 14 years later she and I are still friends. I'm in P.E. And the idiot I am is farting. I got cocky cause the farts could not be heard and they didn't smell. But oh lord no. The universe wanted me to die. As I'm trying to fart more, the loudest fart comes out. The P.E. room has some great acoustic cause the shti was loud and clear. Everyone knew it was me because the noise came from my area. The middle of the room. To add to the embarrassment, the fart smelled. I farted in a room full of 12-year-olds. Let's just say no kid talked to me the whole day and everyone was laughing at my poor ass. That is what I get for getting too cocky with my farts. The moral of the story is don't fart in front of your classmates. Running straight into a sliding glass door in front of a party full of chicks. One time in grade school we had to wear Halloween costumes for a school play. I didn't get the memo that it had to be a scary costume. And I showed up as a hula girl, grass shirt, coconut bra, and a lei. I had a long sleeved onishi on underneath. My crush took one look at me and went, "Oh my god." EW, and the whole classroom erupted in laughter. I was at my best friend's birthday party 3 years ago. 10 people sitting around having a great time. I hadn't seen one friend for a year and she told me in front of all the people that I have gotten fat. It was really embarrassing. The whole room went quiet and everyone looked at me. I excused myself to use the restroom and heard my best friend telling her that she's tactless. She apologized that yeah, I just wondered if something has happened. It still haunts me because she was also one of my best friends during high school and we had such a great time together. Even though it worked out great for me, started working out and have lost a lot of weight, it still left a big scar. Like, was she just friends with me because I was skinny before? Say that privately. Don't ever embarrass someone like she did. Haven't talked to her since that party and needless to say I don't even want to. My 2-year-old brother shat in the ocean while he was with my mom. A while later 10-year-old me managed to stumble upon the shti while diving and thought it was a sea cucumber. I proudly presented it to my mom. To her horror, before she asked where I had found it, she still won't let me live down the time I discovered a sea cucumber.